So in early 2026, Ripple started doing something really interesting. They started building bridges. Now, not with steel and concrete, but with code and partnerships, connecting that old world of finance with the brand new frontier of blockchain. So let's break down what this new global playbook is all about. And really, this all comes down to one big question that pretty much everyone in finance is asking right now. How exactly does old money, the established banking system, actually meet and work with new technology like blockchain? Well, for Ripple, the answer is simple. You build bridges. And we're not talking about flimsy connections here. We're talking about deep, carefully engineered links in some of the world's most important financial centers. Today, we're going to look at the two massive pillars of this plan. All right, first stop, we're heading to the Middle East. This is where Ripple laid the foundation for its first pillar, with a really big deal in Saudi Arabia. So who's at the table? On one side, you've got Ripple, a total powerhouse in blockchain payments. And on the other, you have Jeel movement. Now, that's the innovation arm of Riyad Bank, which is a major player in Saudi finance. And these two have basically shaken hands and said, let's figure out how blockchain can completely change the game for the country's financial system. And what they're trying to do here, it's huge. I mean, yeah, they're looking at making cross-border payments faster and way cheaper, but that's just the start. They're also tackling the really tricky problem of how to store digital assets securely, and even exploring how to turn physical things, like real estate, into digital tokens on the blockchain. And the cool part? They're not just diving in head first. All of this is happening inside what's called a regulatory sandbox. Think of it like a safe, supervised playground where companies can test out these wild new ideas, all while the regulators are watching to make sure everything's okay. It's all about pushing innovation without breaking anything. Now, you gotta understand, this isn't just some random business deal. This move fits perfectly into Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030, which is this massive national plan to modernize its entire economy. Being tied into that national vision, that gives this whole partnership some serious strategic muscle. Okay, so that's pillar number one. Now let's jump across the globe to Asia, because that's where Ripple is building its second pillar, and they're doing it by teaming up with some of Japan's absolute financial giants. And wow, look at the lineup of partners here in Japan. We're talking about some serious heavy hitters. You've got Mizuho Bank, one of the biggest banks in the country. You've got SMBC Nikko Securities, a huge investment banking firm, and Securitized Japan, a top specialist in that whole asset tokenization field. I mean, this is a dream team, right? So, the game plan in Japan, it's a little different. Here, it's all about pushing for the big institutions to start using Ripple's core technology, the XRP Ledger. They're going to do that by supporting new startups and tokenization projects. And they're being super smart about it, using Japan's clear and pretty friendly crypto regulations to their advantage. Okay, so we've seen the moves in Saudi Arabia and Japan, but let's get to the real question. Why does any of this actually matter for Ripple's own tech, the XRP Ledger? What's the big deal? First off, and this is a big one, validation. When you have giants like Riyad Bank and Mizuho Bank signing on, that's a massive stamp of approval. It's basically the old guard of finance looking at this new tech and saying, yeah, this actually works. We can use this to solve real problems. Second, it's all about utility, real-world use. This isn't some science project stuck in a lab. It's being put to work to fix those super annoying problems that have been around forever. Like how slow and expensive it is to send money overseas. And finally, and this might be the most important part, it's about legitimacy. When you work hand in hand with big regulated banks inside the system, you're not an outsider anymore. You're building trust, you're building institutional confidence, you're becoming part of the establishment. And you can see how it all feeds back into the ecosystem. These partnerships are literally the fuel for the XRP Ledger. They make faster payments a reality, they kickstart asset tokenization, they open the door for new stablecoins, those digital dollars that are backed by real money, and most of all, they build that rock-solid foundation of institutional legitimacy. So when you zoom out and look at the whole picture, what's the big idea? The future that Ripple is building, well, it's a bridge. A really strong one, designed to connect the established, powerful world of traditional finance with the incredible potential of new technology. All right, so let's do a quick recap of what went down in early 2026. In the Middle East, they locked down a safe, regulated space to test out their tech. Over in Asia, they partnered up with banking giants to get more people using it. And globally, these moves have cemented their role as that essential bridge. You see the pattern, right? It's smart, it's regulated, and it's all about real-world growth. And all of this leaves us with one massive question to think about. When some of the biggest banks in the world start using blockchain not as some futuristic experiment, but as a solution for today's problems, is this it? Is this the moment we're witnessing the tipping point for traditional finance?